The story starts with a woman who was cleaning her room when her eyes suddenly fell on the mirror. There, she caught a glimpse of some terrifying eyes. She turned around in fear, but there was no one behind her. Scared, she immediately ran out of the room. She turned on the light, but there was no one there. Finally, she gathered some courage and covered the mirror with a sheet. The woman's name was Megna. Her father had recently passed away, but there wasn't even a hint of sorrow on her mother's face. Barbara had turned the AC temperature extremely low because she wanted to keep her husband's dead body at home. Megan found all of this very strange. When she kept asking her mother finally told the truth, that a monk had said he could bring the dead back to life using a special ritual. Barbara wanted her husband to return. Megan thought this was completely insane, but she knew that her mother still hadn't come to terms with her father's death. So to avoid disappointing her mother, Megan decided to take part in this unusual worship. Barbara first said that all of Robert's belongings had to be gathered, and his old study room needed to be completely emptied so the worship could be performed there. So that no one would get suspicious, Megan covered all the windows with curtains and draped sheets over all the mirrors. During this time, she again saw the same terrifying eyes in a mirror, but she thought it might just be a trick of her vision. After that, all of Robert's belongings were collected in one place and burned. Megan wanted to save one childhood photo, but Barbara strictly forbade it. Reluctantly, Megan threw that photo into the fire too. That night, a shadowy figure appeared outside the house. Barbara opened the door, and the man walked in without saying a word. He was an elderly man. First, he started observing Megan and her mother carefully. Then he went into the study room and examined the decorations there, where candles and worship items were placed all around. After that, he took both of them into the room where Robert's body was kept. He said that the body should be cleaned first. Then Barbara took out a garland made of her own hair and placed it around Robert's neck. The man sat in a corner and started murmuring some chants. When Barbara went closer to listen, she realized that he needed ash for the worship. Both women went outside. They collected the ash of burnt objects in a container and brought it back. When they returned to the study room, they saw a circular shape had been created with many candles and mystical objects placed around it. The man said that Robert's body should be placed in the center of the circle. After that, Barbara handed the man a large bag full of money. Megan was shocked and pulled her mother aside to ask how much money she had given. Barbara told her that she had handed over all her life savings for this worship. Megan was furious because she also had a share in her father's property. She felt that her mother had no regard for her feelings, but Barbara said she could now complete the worship on her own and that Megan was free to step away if she wanted. Now that things had gone this far, Megan thought it was better to cooperate. When Megan returned to the study room, she saw that the money was gone. She was about to angrily question the man, but Barbara stopped her and asked her to sit inside the worship circle. Then, while sprinkling ash in the circle, the man said it would ensure the safety of both mother and daughter. Megan found all of this very strange, but her mother explained that the man would send their souls to the realm where her father's soul resided, and from there, they would try to bring him back. Before the ritual began, no one was allowed to step outside the circle. The man said they would need tears from the eyes of the mother and daughter, but Megan, even in the seriousness of that moment, couldn't cry. Then the man placed his hand over her eyes. Sweet memories from her childhood started to float before her eyes. Times when she used to play with her dad. In that moment, tears finally welled up in Megan's eyes. The man collected the mother and daughter's tears on a white cloth and placed it on Robert's face. Then the ritual began. Their heads began to feel heavy, as if they were losing consciousness. Just then, Megan saw the man cut her mother's finger. She panicked, but her body had become numb. Megan wanted to run, but her legs had no strength left. Her mother didn't seem to feel any pain and was completely trusting of the man, following his every instruction. The next moment, the man cut Megan's middle finger too. The shock made Megan faint. When she regained consciousness, she saw her finger was bandaged, but she didn't feel any pain. Fear and anxiety had now taken hold of her completely, but she knew there was no turning back now. On the man's command, the mother and daughter held each other's hands and began chanting the mantras. Suddenly, every object in the room started to shake, and with a loud bang, everything was plunged into darkness. Megan lit a candle in panic. That's when they realized they had entered a completely different world. Then they heard a man's faint voice. Even Barbara didn't know which link had been broken. Megan took out the old photograph with her father from her pocket, the one she had secretly kept. Now everyone understood that the chaos had occurred because not everything connected to the father had been fully destroyed. Barbara quickly told Megan to burn the photo. As Megan started to light the fire, all the candles in the room lit up on their own. In a dark corner, they suddenly saw their father's shadow, but it disappeared immediately. The mother and daughter were just beginning to make sense of what was happening when strange chewing sounds started to echo in their ears. When Megan looked in that direction, she saw a terrifying creature sitting on the ground with two more arms emerging from its back, as if it was hiding someone behind it. When the creature looked toward them, both of them were startled. The face resembled their father's. Megan couldn't believe it. She wanted to get out of that strange world immediately, but her mother still held on to hope that if they could just pull the father into the circle, his soul would return to his body. Megan tried to explain to her mother that what she was seeing wasn't a soul, but a terrifying demon. However, her mother remained adamant. She wanted to make this one last attempt. Barbara called out Robert's name, but there was no response. Then she cut herself with a knife to attract Robert with the scent of blood. But the creature didn't come forward. Instead, it backed away in fear, as if it realized the circular barrier was dangerous for it. In the end, it slowly retreated into the darkness. Barbara didn't want to lose him, so she stepped outside the circle. And just then, Megan felt as if her father suddenly appeared and dragged her into the darkness. Within moments, blood began to flow. Megan realized that her mother might no longer be in this world. She collapsed to the ground and began crying loudly. Blood slowly spread all around the worship circle. Megan lay in the center of the circle, completely broken. She wanted someone to take her away from that terrifying place. She lit the candles again. Suddenly, strange, naked, and horrifying creatures began appearing around her. But the strange thing was, they couldn't see her at all. They just walked past her and then disappeared somewhere into the darkness. No one knew how much time had passed. Megan sat curled up on the ground, continuously praying to God for someone to save her. That's when her eyes fell on her severed finger. She felt that perhaps this could be the key to escaping this world. Gathering courage, she picked up the knife and cut off her little finger herself. This time she felt the pain, but she did not back down. She thought something would change now, but nothing happened. She realized that the sacrifice probably had to be the same finger that had been cut off earlier. Once again, she gathered her strength and cut off the middle finger of her other hand. This time the pain was so excruciating that Megan fainted. When she regained consciousness, she saw a faint ray of light coming from beneath the ground. Using the knife lying nearby, she pried open a wooden plank from the floor and peeked underneath. Right in front of her was her own home. For the first time, a smile appeared on Megan's face. With her blood-soaked hands, she continued removing the floorboards one by one and finally managed to escape. As soon as she got out, she immediately called the police. At that very moment, a familiar shadow passed by the window. Megan ran after the shadow. In front of her stood herself as a child, along with her father. Megan called out to them, cried out, but no one responded. The next moment, that scene also vanished from her eyes. Megan had once again returned to that terrifying dark world. Everything she had just seen was merely a dream. Suddenly in the darkness, her mother's shadow appeared. Megan poured out all her pain, from childhood to the present, on her. She was angry with her mother. She was hurt, but the love was still there. She couldn't believe that both her parents were no longer in this world, but she had resolved to now face the truth. In the end, Megan blew away the ashes scattered around the worship circle. With this, the story ends here. Thank you for watching. We will meet again with another mysterious tale. Until then, subscribe to this channel.